Hi guys, welcome back. Let us look at two examples here, two quick examples of the applications of co-function identity. So guys, here I have example number one. Given is that the cosine of the theta is 0.9651, and that is a valid value for cosine because cosine and sine, they are supposed to be between -1 and 1, and 0.9651 is less than 1, so it's a valid value for cosine of theta. And what we have to find here is the cosecant of 90 minus theta. So how are we going to figure this out, guys? We as soon as we see 90 minus theta, we know it has to do something with the co-function identities, right? So what we are going to do here is, guys, first of all, I'm going to write cosecant of 90 minus theta. So there's no direct relationship between the cosecant and the cosine, right? But cosecant has a relationship with the sine. Cosecant and sine are reciprocals of each other. So cosecant of 90 minus theta can be written in terms of the sine. So that is going to be 1 over sine of 90 minus theta, right, guys? This is one of the basic identities that relates the cosecant with the sine, and I can kind of write it here to remind everyone. So guys, cosecant theta is 1 over sine theta. Similarly, because they are reciprocals of each other, similarly the sine of theta can also be written as 1 over cosecant theta. That is what it means when we say they are reciprocals of each other. And guys, if I change this theta to 90 minus theta, obviously I got to be consistent and I got to change that right hand side as well. And that is exactly what we did here. We didn't have just a theta, we had a 90 minus theta with the cosecant, so I had to change that theta to 90 minus theta on the right hand side, right? That is the first thing that we have to recall, and that is something we are supposed to know. Or if we do not remember all that, then guys, we got to have a formula sheet or identity sheet in front of us. Okay, once I have that, then I'm going to recall that hey, there's a relationship between the sine and the cosine, and that relationship is that the cosine of theta is exactly equal to the sine of the 90 minus theta. Guys, if you remember it, great. If don't, then you got to kind of draw a reference triangle. From there you can quickly extract, or you can figure out this identity. It's a co-function identity. I have talked about this identity in my previous video. So guys, once we have it, then we can say that this is equal to 1 over the sine 90 minus theta can be replaced by just cosine theta. And I already know the value for the cosine theta. Guys, I would have stopped right here and figured out the value, but I don't know the sine of 90 minus theta directly. So what I had to do is I had to go back and I had to recall this identity so that I could substitute or replace sine 90 minus theta by cosine theta. Once I replace it by cosine theta, now I see that I already know the cosine theta. So it's 1 over 0.9651. And I already have my calculator ready with me. So I'm going to just use my calculator. 1 divided by 0.9651. And what do I get? I get 1.0361. Let us go to 4 places. So this would be the value for the cosecant of 90 minus theta given the cosine of theta. Guys, this is example 1. I also want to do the example 2 here as well. So let us get rid of this and let us also look at example number 2. So I'm going to get rid of this quickly. Let us bring my example number 2. What's my example number 2, guys? For example 2, kind of similar to this, what is given is secant now, secant of beta. We can call these angles by any variable we like, but we know alpha, beta, these Greek symbols are most commonly used for identifying an angle. So it's 1.5304, and we want to find the sine of 90 minus beta. That is what we need to figure out. So guys, there's no direct relationship between the secant. Let me kind of come back here. So there's no direct relationship between the secant and the sine, but we got to figure out a common thread between them so that we can finally find the value for sine of 90 minus beta. So guys, this is how we are going to start this problem. We're going to first look at the sine of 90 minus beta, and we are going to think about, hey, what is sine 90 minus beta? Is there a co-function identity that relates sine with something? And we know the basic one is the one that relates sine and cosine. So guys, we already know that the sine of 90 minus beta is cosine of beta. And it is good that we got this in terms of cosine of beta, because we know cosine and secant are related to each other. They are the reciprocals of each other. So if this is equal to cosine beta, then this in turn is equal to 1 over secant of beta, right? Because they are reciprocals of each other. Now we already have the value for the secant, so I just got to replace this secant beta in the denominator by 1.5304. So I got to divide this. So I have a calculator handy with me here. 1 divided by 1.5304, and that is 0.6534. So that is the value for sine of 90 minus beta. So guys, these are not too complicated. All you have to remember, or you have to understand, how to get the cofunction identities, and then from there you can figure these out. Of course, there's little there's little thinking involved, there's little mathematics involved, okay, but nothing really crazy. So guys, I just want to do 2 examples here, and then I'm going to go up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve some or do some other types of examples in my next videos. Till then, guys, keep practicing, and I will see you next time.